Alright, it's another cold morning. It's going to be time to build a fire. First thing I'm going to do is take out some of these ashes. For me, I don't take all the ashes. I just take out the ones that are as completely burned as I can find. And then I shove the rest of them toward the back of the firebox. Make a little space for the fire. It's a little bit difficult to deal with these ashes, but it saves the effort of throwing them away as much, and they blend into the yard better. I take a piece of paper and fold it and clean off my glass. It's a very important part of the job here. It's a half sheet of paper folded in half and then crumpled, torn half about into 8 segments or so, 6 or 8 or whatever, doesn't matter. Then crumpled. That allows the paper to have some air gaps. I bring in my wood. I'm using juniper wood here, and that is the kind of wood that is easiest for me to work with. It splits well. It has a lot of bark that helps me with the tinder. It's a sort of all-in-one type of wood, whereas pine is a little more difficult. You'd have to use twigs and things for your kindling. So this is the kindling that's been split from splittable pieces of juniper wood, stove-cut juniper wood. I'm going to take a little bit of a larger piece to start at the bottom. There's a little cross piece at the front there to hold it up a little bit. So these pieces have to be 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches high, so they can slip this paper in. As you can see how it's torn. This is very important for this fire to light. And then about flush, so there's air, you see there's air there. It's not going to be completely crushed by this next layer, which is building a lattice work here so that I can have some small, this is very small, kindling or part of the tinder for the beginning of the fire. So there's a little cross hatching here. And then I'm going to search at the bottom of the box for some very small bits that I throw in. And that's going to be the real tinder. Between that and the paper, that's what really is going to light off first. So there's an air gap between the paper, within the paper, between the paper and the kindling and the tinder. Now I'm going to create more of an air gap by taking another fairly large piece. And as you can see, I'm placing it slightly to the right of the bottom piece. This is all going to be the beginning of setting it up so that the fire will fall to the back of the firebox, because that's very helpful. If the fire falls to the front of the firebox, it's more difficult. See, that piece goes in a little bit further, so it's staggered toward the back. Of course, this is a diagonal setup for a log cabin fire build, because my firebox is not big enough to put it in straight, so it's being put in in a diamond pattern. I'm going to take my smaller piece of wood, put it in the back. All the smaller pieces to the back, that will also help the fire move to the back of the firebox as it burns. A fire that's falling to the front of the firebox is difficult to deal with as you open the doors to adjust or fix or move the fire or the coals around. And then my main piece needs to be flipped over because it has a diagonal cut on the front that wasn't going to fit flush with the doors. So I'm going to take a little time here to make sure it's really set well. All this time it's taking is going to be worth it. I've done it many different ways. This particular wood stove over the years, and I've had many failures, but lately things have been working out. You've got my favorite moment now, which is the match, one match hopefully. Get that paper going. Some paper burns better than others. Regular newspaper works pretty well. I use a half sheet of a, it's not a half sheet, but it's a local free paper that's smaller than regular newspapers. Take a little time to clean up. Save some of that bigger stuff for tinder for the next time and throw away the dust. Keeps things neat. Open up the the vents. Normally I'm not going to leave these doors open. I would close them immediately, but I've left them open to show the fire beginning to burn. Always fun to sit and watch a fire burn, especially if you're a pyromaniac, or if you're really, really cold. Or if you have marshmallows. Looks good, everything's burning well, situated well, closed properly. The sound of the fire is very important. It lets you know how it's burning. It's a very homey sound. This fire is going to get hot pretty fast because I put a lot of relatively small wood in there, well dried. So it's getting hot quickly. I'm going to shut the front burner and close the back pretty well.